So, folks, we are on the precipice of truly history in the making, because we are about to see a nuclear bomb go off politically in Trump world. And what happens from here on out is basically anybody's guess. But I just want to preface this by saying that things are not looking good for Donald Trump. Because this fallout is all coming downstream of the swearing in of Representative Adelita Grijalva, which has now happened. And I'm going to play you her speech upon being sworn in. Let's take a look.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much. Thank you to my colleague and friend, Congressman Stanton, for that kind introduction, and to the entire Democratic delegation from Arizona and the delegation that stood here with me that has supported me throughout this process. I rise today the proud granddaughter of a bracero, a hardworking Mexican immigrant who came to this country for a better life. And I stand as the proud daughter of a U.S. congressman, a man who spent his entire life fighting for justice, equity, and dignity for the most vulnerable.
Let's go! She seems nice. Yeah, she seems like a nice lady. Yeah, her state is...
From working
had
as
to
a
sue to get her
vaquero to
sworn
serving in Congress in just a single generation, that is the promise of this country. That is the America I want to raise my three beautiful children in, Adelina, Raul, and Joaquin. Stand up, baby. Look at them. They, along with my amazing husband Sol and my wonderful mama Ramona, are here with me today. Muchas gracias por su apoyo y tu amor. And thank you to la gente of Southern Arizona for making history, electing me the first Latina, the first Chicana from Arizona to ever go to Congress.
Hell yeah!
Este momento es histórico para nuestra comunidad. Es un honor ser la primera latina en representar a Arizona en el Congreso, y les aseguro que aunque soy la primera, no será la última.
Hell yeah! I'm the first, but not the last. Let's go!
And while we celebrate this moment today, our American promise is under serious threat. Basic freedoms are under attack. Healthcare premiums are skyrocketing. Babies are being ripped away from their parents by masked agents. We can and must do better. What is most concerning is not what this administration has done, but what the majority in this body has failed to do. Hold Trump accountable as a co-equal branch of government that we are.
I suppose I should have done some better background, Donkey Man, but basically, this lady was elected to the United States House of Representatives back in September, and Mike Johnson has just kept the House out of session until basically now, largely as part of a ploy to keep the Epstein files from going public, because she wound up being the last vote needed to release the Epstein files in the House. So, her being sworn in is a huge deal, because it means something else is coming here soon.
It has been 50 days.
What made Mike Johnson decide to swear her in? Well, one, pending lawsuits, and two, the shutdown ended and they kind of had to bring the House back into session, which meant that he had to swear her in.
since the people of Arizona's 7th Congressional District elected me to represent them. 50 days that over 800,000 Arizonans have been left without access to the basic services that every constituent deserves. This is an abuse of power. One individual should not be able to unilaterally obstruct the swearing in of a duly elected member of Congress for political reasons. Our democracy only works when everyone has a voice. This includes the millions of people across the country who have experienced violence and exploitation, including Liz Stein and Jessica Michaels, both survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse. They are here in the gallery with us this evening. Thank you for being here.
That's right.
Just this morning, House Democrats released more emails showing that Trump knew more about Epstein's abuses than he previously acknowledged. It's past time for Congress to restore its role as a check and balance on this administration and fight for we, the American people.
Now, I do want to shed a little bit more light on what she just said, which is that just the other day, the House released something along the lines of 20,000 new documents. I believe most of them emails from Jeffrey Epstein's estate. Sorry, a batch of 23,000 documents the committee recently received from the Epstein estate in response to a subpoena. So basically, the House Oversight Committee subpoenaed the Epstein estate, and the Epstein estate handed over all of Jeffrey Epstein's personal emails. And so what we are now seeing this week has been a litany of just additional revelations, additional confirmations of things that we've already known, like that Donald Trump was aware of women and girls being sexually abused and for years and did nothing about it, said nothing about it, and actively helped cover it up. So, you know, crazy stuff. But we'll get to that in a bit here. Let's finish with Representative Grijalva.
We need to fight for our immigrant communities and veterans. We need to stand up for our public schools, children, and educators. We need to respect tribal sovereignty in our environment. We need to stand up for LGBTQ plus rights, because that's what the American people expect us to do. Fight for them. That is why I will sign the discharge petition right now to release the Epstein files. Justice cannot wait another day. Adelante, mi gente. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. I yield back.
Let's go! There she goes. So, what has happened so far? Well, first of all, the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein are going around everywhere on Capitol Hill, fighting to and trying to apply pressure to various members of Congress to release the Epstein files. And not going to lie, it's been particularly effective in building momentum here. They are, in fact, doing a very effective job at bringing media attention to who is and is not planning to vote to release them. And in turn, that has led to some changes.
I wonder how many MAGAs are seizing over the use of Spanish in her speech.
Oh, probably all of them. Like, not all of them, most of them, But essentially here, the hope was that the House would prevent the vote from taking place, and barring that Mike Johnson would be able to concoct enough Republican resistance to not allow this to be passed, but he is unable to control his caucus, essentially. So what is happening is that Mike Johnson has shifted his strategy, to use the words of CNN here, and that shift in strategy is, let's move the vote on the Epstein files up as quickly as possible. So basically, instead of seeking to kick the can down the road over and over and over again, essentially the feeling running through Republicans in the House is that they can't vote no on this. They cannot vote against releasing the Epstein files because it is political poison for them to do so. They are afraid of their constituents because turns out the entire thing that their constituents are basing their support of them on is that, oh, well, they support Donald Trump and Donald Trump is a secret pedophile fighter. Don't forget, folks, the entire QAnon movement that has been largely kind of absorbed into the conservative mainstream is predicated on the idea that Donald Trump was a secret agent who was infiltrating the pedophile rings in order to destroy them. And it turns out that a lot of these folks think that whatever is in the Epstein files is actually so bad that they do not want to be caught on the wrong side of history about this. And I say that because, well, some of the reporting is genuinely shocking insofar as what's happening here is, some wacky shit. Here's another piece from CNN. The Trump administration is holding situation room meetings over the over the House's effort to release the Epstein files. They're getting actual members of the administration, like the FBI and all that jazz, assembling them in the situation room because of the impending release of the Epstein files. Top Trump administration officials met Wednesday with a key GOP lawmaker about an effort in the U.S. House to force a vote on releasing Justice Department case files related to Jeffrey Epstein. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt acknowledged the meeting later Wednesday when asked about reporting that administration officials were huddling with GOP Representative Lauren Boebert. Doesn't that show the level of transparency when we're willing to sit down with members of Congress and address their concerns? She said. Yeah, it's so transparent to meet with one lawmaker in the situation room reserved for crises. Yeah, no, whatever is in here is so bad that they are full on locking down, A source familiar confirmed the meeting in the situation room included Boebert, who has wanted the Justice Department to release its trove of Epstein files and has signed onto the effort in the House to force the vote compelling their release. The effort is now in motion after a newly sworn-in Democratic member of Congress provided the 218th and final signature needed on the discharge petition to force such a vote and in turn trigger a number of procedural steps before the House can vote on a bill compelling the files' release. After the meeting, Boebert wrote on X, "I want to thank White House officials for meeting with me today. Together, we remain committed to ensuring transparency for the American people." And no, Donald Trump did not pressure me to take my name off the petition. No one. No, they only called me into the situation room to be super transparent, to be even more transparent. No, they called her into the situation room to try and pressure her into not releasing these files. It is so comedically clear that is what happened. And also, Donald Trump has tried to pressure Nancy Mace into removing her name off the petition. Separately, Donald Trump and Nancy Mace, another Republican who signed the petition, has been playing phone tag for the past 24 hours. The South Carolina Republican sent a direct message to the president Wednesday outlining why she's supporting the discharge petition. according to a source familiar with the message, who said it largely mirrored a public statement in which he said, "I will never abandon other survivors." But both the meeting and Trump's efforts to talk to Mace underscored the administration's concerns around the Epstein saga, which roared back Wednesday morning when the House Oversight Committee released more documents it had obtained from Epstein's estate. So, were those efforts to block this support successful? Well, according to some recent reporting, the answer to that is no, actually. Here's Axios reporting 12 hours ago that Lauren Boebert has broken with Donald Trump on the Epstein files. And I gotta be honest, I'm kind of shocked that, I mean, I guess what I have to say here is that I know people are skeptical that anything is going to come of this, but I also want to throw out there that these people would not be running scared like they are and abandoning the president if they did not feel like the ship was going down. The rats are getting off the ship. It's gonna be interesting, to say the least. God, the vote to release the Epstein files is apparently going to be set for next week on the full vote. So that is coming in just a handful of days here. So I'm not entirely sure here how this is going to proceed in full, but Republicans don't want to be seen as the pedophile defenders, and so a lot of them are, again, plotting these mass defections that Johnson.
Oh no, we put a pedophile in office. Who could have foreseen this?
Right? If only anyone could have told us that about the guy who goes into Miss Teen USA dressing rooms. Also, worth noting that Mike Johnson did not want to bring this bill up for a vote because Mike Johnson has the ability as Speaker of the House to bring a bill up for a vote at any time, but he has not done so because, again, he's protecting pedophiles, right? He's making it as difficult as possible. It's gonna be quite interesting, to say the least, to see how this all plays out, because I don't know what happens when this thing goes to the Senate. I don't know. But I'm just saying, I've never seen them scurry like this. We'll see, but it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. That being said, it doesn't stop the damage that is currently already being done by the emails from Jeffrey Epstein's estate, right? Again, Donald Trump's argument this entire time has been that this whole thing is an Epstein hoax, that oh, no, guys, no, look, Jeffrey Epstein, he was just a guy, and, no one else was involved with Jeffrey Epstein, it's all just a hoax. Well, it's pretty hard to argue that when Jeffrey Epstein's estate is literally full of emails talking about the transportation of girls. That, again, just another lie easily blown over by the slightest bit of scrutiny and evidence. Interesting stuff, of course. Just as some examples, analysis by The Guardian found Epstein sent an email asking, "What is your schedule?" on the 23rd of July, 2010 to an associate. The latter responded the next morning saying, the other girl name is redacted. The Guardian is withholding the associate's name as attempts to identify and contact him were unsuccessful. That afternoon, the associate also wrote, "Can you call me / I am with Tigran. He would like to meet you here. He is with me in Ibiza." I don't know how to say that place's name. "With 8 top girls. He said he would like to build something with you. Can you come to Ibiza? We have a huge house, or how can we organize this? Meeting with Jean-Luc. Could do a great biz / he has the most amazing top models on standby. I told him not to do any deals with anybody before he meet with you." Guardian could not identify the figure referred to as Tigran. Again, Epstein wrote, "I will be in Paris tomorrow night." Maybe one of the weirdest things about a lot of these emails, Ibiza. All right. One of the interesting things about this is that all of these people write to each other like they're the dumbest people imaginable. You know, like your entire educational background, you're like brought up to use like proper grammar, and if you use anything less than that, you're like, showing your lack of class. It's totally impolite. You can't be professional like that. They text each other like they're like 10. It's genuinely insane. It like the amount of spelling errors. It seems like Jeffrey Epstein is emailing everyone while just blasted to shit on some kind of thing.
Sounds like Trump.
I mean, like they just have no regard for punctuation or spelling, and obviously that's the least of the issues with them. But like, it is shocking to just kind of see like these people talking to each other in like, I don't know. It's like how in D&D there's common, the language commonly spoken by everyone, and then there's undercommon, just spoken by everyone underground. And it's just it's like that. It's like you find out that the elites of your world are using like the like worst possible formulation and most broken form of your common tongue. It's wild. I'm sorry, what? Look, it's a D&D thing. It's okay. Look it up. But these are all just insane. So here is what Politico compiled as like the 9 most shocking revelations in the Epstein docs. And first of all, the relationship between Epstein and Treasury Secretary Larry Summers is wild as hell.
All pedophiles share one brain cell, and unfortunately it's been rotting for 30 years.
Yeah, which ironically is a lot longer than they have patience for. In another email, Summers remarked that I observed that half the IQ in the world was possessed by women without mentioning they are more than 51% of the population. I'm trying to figure why American elite think if you murder your baby by beating an abandonment, it must be irrelevant to your admission to Harvard, but hit on a few women 10 years ago and can't work at a network or think tank, Summers added before directing Epstein, do not repeat this insight. Like, what the fuck? This is also insane. Michael Wolff's advice to Epstein here. In a series of emails dating back 10 years, Epstein discussed his predicament and his ties to Trump with author and journalist Michael Wolff. And in a 2015 email, Wolff offers advice on what to do if Trump was asked about his relationship with Epstein. Specifically, Epstein asked Wolff how Trump would respond to such a question. I think you should let him hang himself, Wolff wrote of Trump in a 2015 email. If Trump says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. Because, guys, Donald Trump went on his plane and went to his house. He was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. And now you might say, oh, well, it's all perfectly innocent stuff. They were just hanging out as buds. Then why would that be useful political leverage to have over Donald Trump? If nothing happened, it would not be useful leverage. In a 2019 email, Epstein wrote that Trump said he asked me to resign, never a member ever. Of course he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. That's Jeffrey Epstein saying that Donald Trump was aware that Jeffrey Epstein and his circle were trafficking children. Now, it's also Jeffrey Epstein alluding to, hey, this was an ongoing thing because Trump asked Ghislaine to stop. But to stop what exactly? Because I don't know, if I found out that there was an expansive pedophile ring operating out of my club, I would call the police and report it. But that does not appear to be what happened at all. So, kind of seems like maybe Donald Trump wasn't asking them to stop because he found out Jeffrey Epstein was a creep, as the Trump defense goes. there's just, connections between Epstein and basically everybody. It's real gross. It's a lot of really gross shit. Actually, he's an ephebophile. I don't believe that, actually. I don't believe that Donald Trump is an ephebophile, because if that was the case, I think there's something more damning in here. Oh God, I saw Woody Allen. Yeah, of course you saw Woody Allen. There's other shit in there too, like Epstein bragged that he gave his young girlfriend to Trump. Convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein wrote in a private email that he gave his then 20-year-old girlfriend to President Donald Trump in 1993. My 20-year-old girlfriend in 93 that after 2 years I gave to Donald, Epstein wrote in an email to New York Times finance journalist Landon Thomas Jr. in 2015. Attached was a link to photos of Norwegian businesswoman and cosmetics heiress Selena Middelfart, which, holy moly, what a last name, who would have been 20 years old in 1993, insinuating that Epstein, who would have been 40 in 1993, dated her and then passed her on to Trump. Hawaiian tropic girl Lauren Petrella redacted. Epstein wrote later in the same email chain, "Would you like to see photos of Donald and girls in bikinis in my kitchen?" I just want to reiterate this in case none of you really absorbed that, but that is offering photos of Donald Trump with girls to a reporter in 2015. And the New York Times has apparently just sat on that for a decade. And I gotta say, I'm sorry, but I don't believe that the girls partying at Jeffrey Epstein's house are of age. So why didn't this come out? Because the New York Times has some pretty shit people working at it. Did you see the email about Putin having pictures of Trump blowing Bill Clinton?
I didn't think Trump could get any creepier, Blag.
Yep. Importance high. You and your boy Donnie can make a remake of the movie Get Hard. Sent via tin can and string. Ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. All good. Bannon with me. How are you doing? A while back, you mentioned you were pre-diabetic. Anything changed with that? What is your boy Donald up to now? Please note the information contained in this communication is confidential, may be attorney-client privileged, may constitute inside information, blah, 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 blah. Incredible stuff. It's all so gross and weird. Who's mentioned in this? Bubba is Bill Clinton, just as an FYI. Huh.
Have you seen the part about Trump slamming into a glass wall hard enough to leave a noseprint like a damn cartoon character?
Yes, I have, in fact. Because one of the things talked about here, again, just want to reiterate, the girls that Donald Trump is partying with at Epstein's house in bikinis, you guys believe they're all of age? Nah. But let's see here. I'm a serious man. For the good of the nation, why not try to get some of this out there? I would not do it myself, but would pass on to a political reporter. Plus, look at these lies. In response to a message left seeking the Trump campaign's comment on this article, on Thursday, Trump's general counsel, Alan Garten, emailed threatening legal action against BuzzFeed News. Blah, 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 blah. Lauren Petrella, yes. Would you like photos of Donald and girls in bikinis in my kitchen? Now everyone coming to me thinking I have juicy info on you and Trump because of this. It's like, yeah, you do have juicy info about you and Trump, about Epstein and Trump. Yeah, you have photos of him in your kitchen, in Epstein's kitchen. What are you talking about? Also, just some of these things are wild. There is a story, and I can't find the exact email at the moment, but of Donald Trump walking into a glass door because he saw girls at Jeffrey Epstein's house. It's wild. Gotta say, it's not looking great for Donald J. Trump. as it were. Because also, yeah, after Trump split, Epstein said he could take him down. Jeffrey Epstein cast himself as a Trump insider and wanted to leverage potentially damaging information about the president and his business dealings, according to emails with associates. So Jeffrey Epstein, noted sex criminal and pedophile, had blackmail on Donald Trump and his business dealings. I wonder what kind of blackmail noted child sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein might have on Donald Trump. Who can say? Here again, this is from Jeffrey Epstein, Jeffrey E., to Thomas Jr. Landon Jr. Sorry. Subject R.E. Trump. Importance high. Read the feed R.E. my airplane logs and Hawaiian Tropic contest. Have them ask my houseman about Donald almost walking through the door, leaving his nose print on the glass as young women were swimming in the pool, and he was so focused he walked straight into the door. Nah, dog, this is just gonna continue to hurt him and continue to bleed whatever support he had. You know? Like, this story isn't going anywhere. And like, oh, wow, weirdly, a lot of the MAGA influencers have gone quiet. You know, just a hand, the Steve Bannon, where is he at? Elon Musk, where is he at? Huh, that's so weird. Fox News has talked about it like one time since all those emails dropped. Any chance this affects the Republican Party broadly? I mean, the effect is going to be that like people are going to make, like, Republicans in office are going to be making some very scared political calculations because they know this isn't going to play well with the base. They know just right now it doesn't play well with the base. And like, ultimately, each and every one of these fucks is out for themselves. You know, like they're not interested in being on the wrong side here.
How are they all this childish, this stupid, this evil, and still they have power? They've managed to take control of things behind the scenes over the years.
Well, because we don't live in a meritocracy. You know, like the idea that all these business people are competent is just a lie. They're mostly incompetent boobs who've lucked into their fortune or inherited their fortunes, and like that's really all you need in order to make it to the top. You don't need to be a particularly smart or, you know, well thought out plans or anything like that. They, you know, by virtue of luck, most of those people got to where they are. Because the system of capital siphons wealth to the top. And if you just luck into it, or, you know, con your way in, or, you know, flatter power enough, you can find yourself at the top of it. But it doesn't make you very smart to be able to do that. If anything, it just rewards like the most criminal-minded folks, you know? It's gonna be interesting to see how this all plays out. I don't know what happens after the House votes on this. All I know is that this is definitely gonna get through the House next week. At which point it then gets kicked to the Senate, and all bets are off at what happens then. Because what we were looking at in the House and why Mike Johnson pivoted was like potentially over 100 defections in the House.
No, I get that, but our pedophile rapist president slammed into a glass door because he was distracted by pretty young girls feels antithetical to reality.
I mean, he's basically a cartoon character in like the worst possible cartoon, you know? Chuck Schumer's gonna fuck it up somehow, I know it. I mean, maybe, but also it seems pretty difficult to fuck up. And it seems quite possible to me that given the size of the Republican defection in the House, that there might be a similar defection in the Senate. I don't know how many, you know, that's a great question real quick. How many GOP senators are up for re-election in 2026? Oh boy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh boy. Well, that is, interestingly enough, exactly the number needed to get past a filibuster if 20 defect. Now, some of those people aren't seeking re-election, like Joni Ernst. But you might be able to pull off a few who are not seeking re-election in 2026, because they might feel like something else is gonna, their interests are gonna be coming up in 2028, and people are gonna remember who voted to protect a pedophile. Yeah, exactly, Christina. Like, the thing is, this is like the most radioactive political issue right now in Washington. And basically, if you get caught, if you try to make a political calculation here and you calculate wrong, your entire career is done. Your entire career is done. And so the folks that are lining up to like try and defend, the pedophile or the pedophile documents from being released, it basically, you better be absolutely sure your constituents are going to forget. Because the other thing worth noting here is that while Republican voters might not defect to vote for a Democrat in some of these areas, in some of these states, they might absolutely defect to vote for a Republican primary challenger. So I think it's pretty interesting. Now, one might say, well, how is this going to play out? Well, Superjet Guy, you're asking, isn't this just a subpoena? No. So what the discharge petition is a way to bring a bill to the floor of the House without having the speaker introduce the bill, right? Because Mike Johnson can introduce any bill at any time for any reason, right? But the discharge petition allows for a critical mass of members of the House to force a bill to be brought for a vote. And that is what happened. So the bill is being introduced, and it will be voted on in the House. What happens after that is that it goes to the Senate, where it needs to pass, okay? If it passes the Senate, goes through all of the hurdles, passes the Senate, it goes to the president's desk. Now, would someone so implicated by the Epstein files, potentially implicated, I should say, sign that into law and then release the Epstein files? Absolutely fucking not. So what's probably going to happen here is that Donald Trump is going to veto it. However, at that point, the House and the Senate can both attempt to reach a 2/3 majority to override the veto. And it will make him look really bad to veto it. Yeah, but he might not care at that point because it might make him look really bad to release it. So we are potentially looking at a long road here to the release of the Epstein files, but this was clearing a very important hurdle. And this initial vote is going to be key to seeing whether or not this political nuclear bomb goes off or if it gets diffused. We're still a long way from it actually being fully released, like the Epstein files. But yeah, I guess one of the things to be looking at when it comes to the House vote is whether or not 2/3 of the House vote in favor of releasing, or if it's below 2/3 of the House. If they can get 2/3 of the House to vote to release the Epstein files next week, then there's that's a pretty decent sign that there is a veto-proof majority in the House and potentially the Senate to release these. Also, Nathan, thank you for the $5 dono. No point in waiting. Johnson sent the House of Representatives home for its August recess early. GOP sources told CNN part of the calculation is that the momentum in the House is unstoppable and the only course of action is to send it over to the Senate to deal with. Get it out of the House. Let's see. Even after the bipartisan duo secured the 218 signatures needed to move forward on Wednesday, there was still a procedural process that had to play out. Yeah, the decision to move quickly with a floor vote came shortly after thousands of new Epstein emails. Mass defections. I heard over 100 votes, but I'm trying to find a source for that. I think it was this piece in Politico. Mass defections. Yeah, senior Republicans privately believe dozens of Republicans will vote for it, possibly 100 or more, according to 5 people granted anonymity to speak candidly. So the vote is next week. The vote is next week, and they are expecting not just like a couple conservatives. They're expecting over 100 conservatives to vote for this. Like, it's going to be a next level of defection because Mike Johnson is weak and he can't actually control the people under him, right? I simply do not trust Republicans to actually follow through. I trust Republicans to be scared shitless about something that could potentially harm their careers. I do trust them to be fearful, spineless cowards, as they were completely willing to let people starve. Well, yeah, again, they don't have moral conscience, but they do have a sense of self-preservation when it comes to their political careers, because that's really all they care about. As far as when it comes to what the Senate layout is going to be, I mean, if Democrats can hold their 40, right, then it would kind of remain to be seen if we can get like over 60 votes to overcome kind of that filibuster and see, I guess, kind of see where we're at there. Like, if we could get a veto-proof majority in the House right off the bat. So 290 are needed. 290 votes are needed in order to have a veto-proof majority in the House. If it is true that 100 Republicans are like aiming to vote for this and defect, that would put the total number of votes over 310. So if the House has a veto-proof majority, and if that actually comes through, we're cooking. We're cooking a little bit here. But I don't know what the Senate could do here. Because again, it's political poison for the senators too. You got to understand, even for Republicans voting to defend the king of pedophiles, Epstein is a bridge too far. A large part of the GOP base is truly believing in the saving the kids from pedos. Yeah, no, they a lot of the GOP base, is lost in the sauce in that regard, And this is kind of the bridge that is potentially too far for them. So we'll see. And keep in mind, none of these people are like loyal to Trump in any real way. The second it will benefit them politically to throw Donald Trump under the bus, they will do so. None of these people have loyalty to him whatsoever as a person. Like, they all hate him. They all think he's a moron, and they all despise him. They kowtow to him publicly because that is how they can gain power for themselves, but they all hate him. Like, the second that they can actually stab him in the back, they will. And if this is that moment, then they're willing to take that risk while also preserving their own careers. It's a pretty simple political calculation for them to make, and I think a lot of them are making it. So, all of that said, that is where things stand right now, and it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this all shakes out. Aren't there other billionaires on that list that are not going to want this released? It'll be interesting to see what happens.
They are loyal his power, not him. As soon as he becomes a disadvantage, they'll drop him.
Well, and that's why I find this so interesting, because very clearly these people are scared that if they ally themselves with him now, they're going to go up in smoke. Like, they're just going to be toast. So they're fleeing. The rats are jumping off the ship. So all that being said, it'll be really interesting to see what happens in the next week or so. I think there is a chance here that something actually happens rather than the what the nothing ever happens folk seem to believe. I think that something could genuinely happen. So, all that being said, I guess we'll see. I can't predict the future, but this is at the very least interesting in its development. And with that being said, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Help the channel grow. Do the things. And consider supporting Stream financially if you can, because this show is brought to you by viewers like you. Couldn't do it without you fine folks. And I'll see you next time.
Riverboat Jack is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, dating, plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff